This is the Ethics Commission regular meeting of February 4th, 2021. My name is AJ Singleton. I'm chair of the commission. I'd like to start off by noting that due to the COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, this meeting is being held via live video teleconference pursuant to 2020 Senate Bill 150 and in accordance with KRS 61.826 because it is not feasible to offer a primary physical location for this meeting. Calling the meeting to order, the first item of business is to consider Advisory Opinion 2021-02. This is one for which confidentiality has not been waived. Therefore, I would ask for Mr. Ryan Combs to be put in a waiting area so that we can confidentially consider Advisory Opinion number 2.
Okay, stand by. Mr. Combs, we will put you in the waiting room. You will not hear or see anything, but we will be back with you when the commission is ready.
Sounds good.
With confidentiality not being waived, I would entertain a motion to go into a confidential consideration of this opinion.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going into confidential session. If we could have the recording turned off.
Recording has started again, and we are in open session.
We are now back in open session after considering Advisory Opinion number 2's request. I will entertain a motion that the commission draft and author an ethics opinion commensurate with the discussion that we had in closed session.
So move.
There's a motion. Do I have a second? Kim with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item up for business, Councilmember Kloiber, thank you for your time. You may leave the meeting if you wish. Our next item on the agenda is Ethics Advisory Opinion 2021-01. It is related to Advisory Opinion 2020-04.
Is this Ryan Combs?
That is correct.
Okay. Shall I bring Ryan in now?
Yes, please.
Okay, stand by. Mr. Combs is coming into the meeting. And he should be there now.
Mr. Combs, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. Good to see you or speak with you again. Can you tell us what additional considerations you would like to for us to consider?
Yes. On the original one, everything was great.
Wait just a second, sir. I see that confidentiality for this opinion has not been waived. Is that correct?
Yes, but maybe I don't fully understand necessarily the meaning of that. So does that necessarily mean like that's why I was in the waiting room? I couldn't hear your all's conversation, or?
You were in the waiting room because the previous opinion was also one where the requester had not waived confidentiality, so that was not recorded. That was a private discussion, and that's also why you were in the waiting room during the previous advisory opinion discussion.
Okay.
And
we are happy to go into to closed session with you.
And Mr. Combs, your previous request waived confidentiality. If that helps you remember whether or not you want it to be confidential or not.
Well, yeah, I'll waive it if that's what.
Okay.
with these.
If that works for you, sir, we will proceed just in regular session.
Yes, that's fine.
Very good, sir. So what additional things would you like for us to consider as part of the previously drafted advisory opinion?
Well, the two things was, one was the affidavit. I was sitting with my attorney getting ready to draw up my client contract. And when I was talking to her about the affidavit, and I showed her the opinion, and she went through it, and we kind of agreed that, you know, I should kind of write back in and ask if it necessarily has to be like a sworn, notarized document. The reason why we were wondering is because she could put there, you know, in the actual contract, a section talking about if the home is under a code violation, and kind of like what you all agreed on, but not necessarily notarized, because I was just worried about if every time I go to do a job, I would have to have the person like meet me with a notary to kind of do it that way, do a true affidavit. It's what I was under the impression.
Okay. That's probably something that we need to discuss amongst ourselves when we go into closed session to consider it. But I think that at least I understand your request. Now, at least for that part, I will open up the floor to any of the other commission members to see if they have got any follow-up questions as well on that.
I apologize for jumping in yet again, but I just wanted to let everybody understand, the commission members understand, that if you didn't catch it, the next action item is actual council approval of this ethics advisory opinion that he's asking for clarification on, because he needed an opinion quicker than we could vote on it. So in times in which we've done that in the past, we send them a copy and then approve it later. And so this is the day that we're approving it later. So it would be my recommendation, if there's to incorporate the changes that he wants and is interested in having more elucidation on in the advisory opinion, and then approving the law department to make those changes, and then have the chair sign, so we can do it all in one. So that way we're not having to do another advisory opinion about another advisory opinion. If that makes sense, just combine basically agenda item 2 and 3 together, and vote on additional changes to 2024 based on his requests for clarification.
I think that makes sense, Evan, yes. Well, Mr. Combs, what was the nature of your other request for clarification?
The other one was, I wanted to touch base on if I'm working in a home and come across a code violation. I know that on your opinion, it stated that I needed to kind of cease work. Another contractor needs to take care of it. And then once that's resolved, then I can continue with the scopes that I originally had discussed with the customer, which I agree on. But I wanted to see, and maybe it's just more like a moral thing, that if I'm working in someone's home and I come across that and I say, hey, unfortunately, this is a code violation, I personally cannot take care of it. I want to know if I can direct them towards either like the BIA, the BBB, or give like 3 references that would be at no financial gain to myself. I just didn't want them to feel like, well, this guy came in, I'm left hanging, I have no direction. And because, you know, I'm not really doing a lot of marketing, so it's kind of word of mouth and reference. So I really kind of want to just remain as a good, you know, a good person to come and do work for you, and not necessarily like leave you hanging on a scope that I can't personally do, which I understand. But kind of just direct them to say, hey, we can take, you know, call this, they can direct you with someone to get you taken care of. And then once that's repaired, I can come back and continue the work that we agreed upon.
Okay, do any of the council members have any questions for Mr. Combs?
I guess I might have one, Mr. Combs. In your experience, and if I recall, you are an active code enforcement officer, and you go out in the world and meet with homeowners all the time in your professional, not with respect to this other endeavor, but in your employment with the LFUCG. If you come across a code violation in that capacity, what do you typically do in that situation? Are you recommending people? Are you just saying it's got to be fixed, or how does that go typically?
Oh, so you're just referencing if I'm at a home for that came in through the LFUCG code enforcement case. Okay, yeah. People do
Yes.
ask. They just don't have direction. I always recommend them to call the BIA, Building Industry Association, kind of tell them maybe what they have going, and they can usually direct someone to them. It doesn't happen that often, but sometimes people just don't have direction. They get kind of flustered on, well, I got to fix these things now, and I just don't know where to go. And it's usually owner-occupied properties. A lot of the LLCs and the other like landlords have those contractors that come and do things for them. So every now and then we do get an owner-occupied that just like maybe elderly, just kind of don't know where to start. So I do kind of throw out there the BIA, which is an accredited association that has several contractors that, can perform probably any of their needs. Once again, maybe that's just me kind of saying, hey, I'm not going to just say, hey, fix this stuff, walk away and call me when it's done. I do try to give them some direction if I can. And that's never anything that, like I said, to my gain. I don't refer like myself or anyone I know. I just say, hey, call this association, kind of give them a rundown of what you need, and they can usually direct you to someone that could help you.
I have a quick question. If you don't do an affidavit for this, is the idea that you would put that language in the contract, that disclosure, and they would just sign off on it somehow? They would sign the contract, and it would just be in there, and they would know about it that way?
Yes, sir. And we thought about putting kind of maybe an initial a line for that item to kind of keep it in there, but make it separately, like you have to read this and initial here and understand this part. And then once you sign the contract, that just kind of agrees on the work. So it's one contract, but we're trying to word it to where they do have to pay attention to that one section of, is the home currently under code violation, and the language that was in your all's first opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Combs?
Mr. Combs, just to make sure, you wouldn't be recommending any other code enforcement officer fix the property, correct?
No, I would not.
Okay. Just making sure.
Okay.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to consider Mr. Combs' requests to clarify the draft opinion, and for that matter, for us to consider the opinion itself.
So move.
Have a second? Have him a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 We'll be going into closed session, Mr. Combs. We'll be back shortly.
Okay, stand by, Mr. Combs. We're going to put you back in the waiting room. Stand by, please.
Okay. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, stand by. Go ahead, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Combs, welcome back. We have considered your request for clarification, and we think that they make sense. We discussed taking out the provision of a specific affidavit and including your suggestion of including that provision about no code violations in the contract with an area for the customer or your business to initial. And then also specifically including in the opinion that you can, if you find a code violation and need to stop work, that you can recommend that the customer contact the BIA or the Better Business Bureau. We think both of those make sense. And with that, I will entertain a motion to amend the draft advisory opinion that was previously drafted with those additions and any minor corrections.
I'll move.
Hank moved. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Laura said second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Combs, does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Mr.
Very
Combs,
good. Thank you for your patience and your time.
Mr. Combs, you'll get a new letter in the mail.
Okay. All right. I appreciate
Very
it.
good. Ms. Combs, thank you for your time. Have a good evening. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, if y'all have had a chance to review those. And I will entertain a motion to approve unless there are any changes to be discussed.
So moved.
Lord,
Second.
moved. Do I have a second? Evan, second. All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Next on the agenda, which I just had in front of me, is the ethics tip line reports.
Okay, this is for one on December for November 2020, one is in January for December 2020, and then one is for beginning of February for January of 2021. If you scroll down to the bottom of the open incident reports as of January 31st, that's the most current one. So if you have any questions, it looks like there's one that mentions the Ethics Commission. That's on the day or so before this, or after rather, this report went out. It was resolved. There's apparently a gift issue with the Lexington Employee Credit Union giving gifts to council members, so that's been resolved. Like giving like a welcome gift, that's been resolved from the gifting provisions of the Ethics Act. And then also there's a conflicts of interest personal in there that might interest you. For a case manager says the law department. I think that might have been, we believe that was the case manager is incorrectly the law department. We think it's a human resources related hiring issue. So that'll be resolved by human resources and doesn't need the law departments or ethics commission's aid at this time.
Okay. Any questions of Evan with respect to the ethics tip line report? Okay. Last on our agenda is the financial interest forms update.
In January, on the January 6th, we sent out 125 of the financial interest statement. As of today, we have received 37 back, and that's 29.6%. I have been in contact with several people who are dropping them off, very soon, and we're working with anybody who is having trouble getting a notarization. That's it.
And what's the deadline again for those?
April 15th.
Tax day. Any other business or any questions, first of all, for Abigail with respect to the financial interest forms? Okay. Any other business that anyone would like to bring forth? I do note that the LFUCG staff has provided on the bottom of our agenda the dates for the upcoming meetings. You all may want to put those on your calendar. Thank you guys for putting that on there. Very helpful. Hearing no further discussion, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. My only 2 words of the evening.
Do I have a second? Hank with the second, okay. It's great to see you guys. I look forward, hopefully in the near future, to be able to have these in person, but good to see everyone healthy and well, and hope the same is true for you and yours. But I will call the motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Guys, y'all have a great evening.